What's up, Tipsies? Okay, so this is another installment, number 2 of The Bachelorette Round, Brown, and Abroad. And this episode features the Hipster. I know he would probably hate that I've nicknamed him that, but it is what it is. He has great style, and it's very hipster. It really is. But okay, so he is a native of the island and another absolute sweetheart. He's got a full beard, almost. If it was like, there's flies everywhere, but almost. If it was cleaned up just a little bit, maybe a little King Leonidas from 300, yeah. He's got the undercut, you know, that's a little bit long on top with the part down the side with it cut real low on the sides and back, you know what I mean? And he had on like a nice button-up shirt with a jacket, not like a suit jacket, but like a nice like outdoor, you know, but stylish jacket with dark washed slim cut jeans cuffed at the bottom with like some really nice brown work boots with red laces, and he digs copper, and so he had like a old, like not old, but a brown leather wallet with a really cool looking copper chain that went to his belt loop. And oh yes, just like, I was like, oh, he's got great style. I loved it. And he's, I don't know how tall he is, but I would go out on a limb and say somewhere between 5'10" and 6 foot. Not really sure which, but since I'm 5'1.5", 5'10" still is tall for me. So anyway, another like respectful gentleman, and he picked me up out front of my building in his car, and like I got in the car and we started chatting. He warned me that he is an introvert, but he did very well getting the conversation flowing in the car. But then he said, he was just like, well, it might be a little awkward if I didn't talk. She might think I'm a serial killer, which that was a running joke throughout the date, which I was just like, this is probably the worst joke to be having, joking about serial killer on the first date. But it was still funny. He's very funny. Funny, but cynical. He's very cynical, but funny about it, and he's got a dark sense of humor. So very, you know, self-deprecating. I'm trying to think of someone who's a good example of that. Maybe a little Seth Rogen-ish or Jonah Hill-ish, but less silly. But still that same vibe of like kind of dark, saying like really outrageous things in the middle of conversation. But it was a very long date, and it lasted 8 hours. And I got in the car, we drove up into the mountains, and he admittedly said that he sucks. That he sucks at directions, and he does. And so he was using Google Maps, and he was still getting lost with Google Maps. It's hilarious. He wanted to take me to a bar/restaurant that has a traditional drink here called poncha, 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 and it's this delicious but strong drink of like orange juice, probably freshly squeezed, orange juice, lime juice, honey, and what he called Madeira's fire water, which maybe is a rum, but a really, really, really strong one that they created however many hundreds of years ago, and it's just their traditional drink. And it will put hair on your chest, or at least burn a hole through it. But at the same time, super delicious. Although I don't know if it agrees with my stomach. I had it at the first date and it gave me a little bit of bubble gut. And then I had it this date and it gave me a little bit of bubble gut as well. And you don't want bubble gut on a date. So anyway, he wanted to take me there because they have like legit traditional poncha instead of like, you know, the touristy stuff. So he's just like, I want to take you to this place. Oh man. And then as we're going, he's like, oh man, this is the wrong one. I didn't mean to. He's like, I wanted to go to the other side of the mountain. So he ends up, so we go to this first one, and it's like basically at the top of a mountain. It's got this beautiful view, and it's just like, wow. And we sit outside and we drink the poncha with these, it's like, it's drinking like finger food, you know, like at some bars you have peanuts and others you have popcorn, some pretzels, whatever. This, I had it the one night where I was on the, basically on the, not really the beach, but you know, the waterfront, and had the beautiful view of Funchal, which is the capital city. That's where I'm staying, the capital city of Madeira. But I had it that night, and I don't even know what it is. It's like some weird yellowish pea pod thing that's seasoned with like garlic and salt and some other kind of herbs, and they're delicious. And so you eat that while you drink the poncha, and we had a great conversation. And then from there, we went to the other side of the mountain to go to the place that he actually wanted to take me to, which was also a bar/restaurant, and had their poncha, which the first one was sweeter, the second one was stronger. And was it? Because I think having just two glasses, and they're only like this big and like that big around, that tall, tiny glasses, because you have to. By the second one, I was like, so we're having conversation there, and again, people keep staring at me. Again, I'm like, what is up with all the people that keep staring at me? And this day I was wearing a bright yellow dress. And so I actually asked the hipster, I'm just like, okay, so I've noticed that people are staring at me, and I get why maybe the old people are, but what's up with everybody else? And he's like, well, one, you're wearing bright colors, and not a lot of people wear that bright of colors. Like, they might wear colors, like I was wearing yellow, and it was like a lemon yellow, where a lady off to the way had on a sweater tied around her neck that was like mustard yellow. So, you know, I wear bright colors. So he said that that's not that common. And he said that while there might be black men here, maybe not as many black women, and when there are black women, they're either younger, like, you know, college co-eds, or way, way older. And so maybe that could be why they're staring at me, because I am of a different age set that they don't expect to see. And so they're curious. But like yesterday, a lot of the people were smiling because after this bar, we went to a place to walk through like this forest, this trail around the mountain. And you're already up there, so it's not like any kind of real incline. You're already at the top of the mountain, so it's just taking you around to a clearing. And there's like this cliff that's fenced or has a railing, and you see all the view through the valley to the ocean. Oh, it's so beautiful. Here's an example. And like, because we were there and there wasn't as many people as we were walking along and walking and talking and all that, it's hard with the mask. So we took our masks off, and there were some people that we passed by, and like, I don't know. I guess I'm, like I said, maybe in the other video, maybe I'm just radiating joy or something, because I smiled all day. I couldn't stop smiling. So maybe it was because I was smiling so hard, and so my smile was contagious, and so they were smiling back at me, and then most of them were like, hello, and I'm like, hi, and I'm like, hee, and I'm giggling because he's making jokes, and it's just like, it was so great. And then as we were walking back from seeing the view, he manned up. He manned up, and he like grabbed me and pulled me over and gave me a kiss. And I was like, oh snap, and he was a good kisser. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I was just like, okay. He was an introvert. He's an introvert, and he's like, I normally wouldn't do that. He's just like, that's so not me. He's just like, but something just told me to do it, and he's just like, and he's just like, I just really wanted to kiss those lips. I'm like, oh, okay. And so then after that, we got back in the car, and then we drove down the mountain onto like the other side of, kind of the other side of the island. Like there's this big cliff, and we were like on the other side of that cliff. And so we drove down to the actual water, and this adorable little village in the water, and a little bar restaurant right there at the water. And here's a look at that. And so, and we talked some more, just conversation pretty much constantly flowing. And then after that, we finally came back to Funchal and hung out just a little bit more. And yeah, it's great. It's great. But I did this once again already, even if I don't go on another date while I'm here. But I do believe we are seeing each other again. I would like to. The thing about being in Europe and dating, it's just, I feel like it's good for the soul for black women, particularly fluffy black women, because of how often we are ignored in the US of A. Now, maybe other fluffy black women, curvy, chubby, whatever you want to call it, maybe they have better luck than me in their region of the US, but not I. Not for years. So this is just, it's so refreshing. It's so nice to be appreciated and desired, and, you know, and have someone who like adores you or whatever. And the gentleman, he called me hot, and the hipster called me beautiful. And I even talked to the hipster about the issue of, or the situation for black women dating in the U.S., whether slender or heavier, that, you know, like we're supposedly the least desired. And he was just like, well, that's a shame, and they're missing out because you're beautiful. And he's just like, most of you age really well. And I'm like, thank you. And so yeah, it's just, if I could find a way to bring all the single, frustrated African-American women to Europe to date, I would, because they don't care. They don't. They really don't. They don't care. You're beautiful to them. You're beautiful, and, you know, like, size doesn't have anything to do with taking away your beauty or making you undeserving of love, affection, and adoration. And it is so freaking refreshing. And yeah, once again, I'm like, I don't want to leave. And I still have like 6 weeks, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to leave. But yeah, so that was our date, and it was pretty great. Like he has some things I think he needs to work on himself, and I won't get into detail because that's his private life, but there's some things that I think that he needs to work on, and he might not be ready for a serious relationship yet, or he shouldn't be, you know? Like, I feel like it's internal things that he needs to work on for himself, not myself or anyone else. Like, no one wants to be someone's like healer or therapist or whatnot, but still, that doesn't take away from the fact that he is a great guy, and I had a lot of fun with him. So we shall see any further dates with the gentleman and with the hipster, as well as maybe someone new. Sidebar, I completely forgot that I also convinced the hipster to get the, well, maybe convinced him. Hopefully I did. He was thinking about it. Getting the manly Manny that I found on the internet and added to my last Viking story. So, and here's an example. Yeah, I convinced him. He liked it. He's a little hesitant, but he liked it. And I'm just like, oh, it would look so amazing with your whole look. So I hope he gets it. It's exciting. So that's that. Sorry for rambling on. And okay, I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.